Hello, guys, and welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain
And I
Foley.
am Chronicons, and we are looking at something unusual today, Stuart.
We love concept stuff. There's been a lot of great stuff designed over the years that has never seen the light of day as far as screen time goes, but some really great ideas put to paper. And we're going to take a look at some of those today, or one of them today. One.
Yes, and Stuart, you've heard of that show called Star Trek Discovery, right?
No, but it sounds really good. Perfect name for a Star Trek show. Exploration, discovery.
Well, that show had an odd design history. The showrunner of season one, or pre-season one, as they changed in production, had some different ideas about where to go. Unlike the J.J. Abrams films, which were an alternate universe, this was the same universe, didn't care. So a lot of designs feel a bit odd and somewhat out of place. And what we got, this is a pre-Shenzhou. We all know the Shenzhou. It's seen in the start of the first two parts of the season. This is one of those could have been. Didn't even know it existed until I saw John Eaves at a convention. Actually, and had these pictures in front of him. I was like, "Oh my god, John! That's the thing we have to look at Trekyards." And here we are finally looking at it on Trekyards. But Stuart, here is a Shenzhou that could have been. What do you think? And have you seen it before?
Have seen it before, yes, and I think it could have been better than what we got. I kind of like this in a way because it does tie in a little bit more with Enterprise. Some of the ships in there, the half saucer designs, which would have been a nice, because we know the Shenzhou is an older ship. We find that out because Giorgio has been in command of it for a while. He even had the lateral vector transporters. Remember, because that's old technology.
Which for some reason Mirror Universe ship also uses, even though they got better technology from the Defiant 70 years ago.
So yeah, I think it's an interesting design and definitely definitely would have been a nice thing to see on screen. I can see a lot of the things that carried over to the final Shenzhou design, but you see the Brian Fuller directive there of the nacelles not being cylindrical and all that as well. So
Yeah,
it's cool looking.
I think John Eaves was the architect of so much of the Trek design philosophy, including the NX era ships. And when you start really looking at his designs, you can see a lot of himself repeating himself, either on unused concepts or just shapes he really likes. So I can see a lot of things that are just John Eaves here, or someone trying to be John Eaves. But I think, honestly, this is a really pretty ship. As ships go, it's got a real certain balance to it, but also some level of originality. And as weird as it sounds, the thing that kind of makes it pop for me is those impulse engines. That was an interesting choice, and they give it a three-dimensionality that otherwise would just be a half saucer slapped on with Enterprise nacelle with pylons. But by having it all kind of together, I think it's actually a really pretty ship, and certainly more conventional than Shenzhou. But I saw it, but I hadn't actually put two and two together. Yeah, it's just a half saucer. It's just the NX-01 half saucer front. Why wouldn't that design be carried forward in some way? And this is a great way of having that. Although I think the Enterprise E style shuttle bay almost verbatim bugs me a bit. It's super uncreative to use something from 350 years in the future or whatever. That bugs me. Shouldn't have been that way.
I agree. There are a lot, well, he's got like that sleek style that again he kind of gets trapped into his own ideas a little bit. I think. Which is fine. I think a lot of things he really likes that he just wants to get out there, so he just designs it and everything, hoping that one will stick. This one is, I'd like to see the bottom of it as well, because this one clearly doesn't have the bridge on the top, same as the Shenzhou. I think that was probably one of the directives from Brian Fuller, because he didn't want anything to look like Star Trek, no cylindrical nacelles. I don't want the bridge on the top, or just, something like that. I can see him saying. So I'd like to see the bottom of this design, but I was going to say, that being said, it's I don't mind the bridge on the bottom. Honestly, I think it's an interesting idea, but anyway.
Yeah, I think a good way of summarizing Brian Fuller was an agent of chaos.
Well, yeah. I want to try something new and just
and not have any logic behind it whatsoever. And yeah, I mean, the lower bridge, obviously, it's fine as a concept because it proves that it was a failed concept because it never appeared again. Even everything after Discovery Season 1. So, like the Windows appeared for a certain amount of time and then never came back until, well, Picard. So at least with some design sanity for a few hundred years. But there is no, unfortunately, bottom view. This is the only view of the ship we have. This is all. If we do go to the next picture, though, we can see a direct comparison of what was carried over and stayed the same. And yes, it is interesting. There is something of it in the Shenzhou, even though the entire design philosophy is different. There's certain interesting parallels that really did just keep going over. And I don't know how. Well, I'm sure it's much earlier in the process, especially with only one view. We have other versions with more than one view. What do you think now, looking at them side by side?
Just that I like the concept more. I mean, that's not the most flattering angle of the Shenzhou, honestly. The Shenzhou does look great from certain angles for sure, but the concept is really nice. It's nice and dare I say sleek? That's your word, I know. But
It is rad though. It's very very rad.
oh, it is radical, yeah. I still wish that the Shenzhou wouldn't have looked so much like a Miranda class. I kind of like the half saucer look. I think that would have definitely spoke volumes as to tie it into NX era, because like we said, it is an older design, so it's an interesting take.
And spoke to it being a non Pride of the Fleet, which it never was. It was just one of those classic workhorse ships. It's astounding how much more balanced the concept is. The Shenzhou is incredibly unbalanced as a design. It's all front heavy, weird nacelles that have such a harsh angle. Obviously, we can't see in this view, but there's the under connective plate light. I don't know what it is. There's no reason for it necessarily. But the other one is so balanced. And I can even imagine that even if the nacelles are actually flat on, and it's kind of hard to tell if there's any slant, maybe it's flat. Even if it was a very flat ship, I think it would just look really nice in motion.
Well, from certain angles, if it's too flat, it's going to look awful from the side. It's got to have something going on. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But I can imagine as it's swooping. And even I think also the colour scheme helps as well. It's a very... You understand the colour scheme, it feels... more... It feels NX just more advanced because there's less paneling. And I actually kind of appreciate it even had like Aztecing on the saucer, which he drew, which is kind of amazing actually. And it's very half sorcery. But even the...
Yeah, you got your wish with the shuttle bay. It's not futuristic on the Shenzhou.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, it's a big hulking square thing. But even these nacelles, of the concept, they obviously are these futuristic rectangle ones, but it fits better with the design aesthetic. Having that hard edge of a half saucer links in better. And the way there's more hard lines on this in the Shenzhou, and the other one just feels abstract. It doesn't connect as much. So I kind of prefer them, and obviously we've talked many times about them being, how are you forcibly forcing that design to canon? Well, because they have to have more plating over the nacelles and the condoms and advancement because they've got to do, whatever. But it actually works for me a lot better.
The nacelles are interesting because they actually did change them a lot for the Shenzhou in the final version. That being said, they're very similar to the Discoveries. So he was obviously going for some kind of similar look there. Like the front, just the overall shape is very Discovery-like. They're not as long, which is great. These on the Discovery would have been a lot better. But
they are still very long though, but they are balanced long.
Yes, well, absolutely, yes. And I think one of the directives probably was, well, we don't want this looking like the Discovery because it's an older ship, so let's change those nacelles a bit. And I think also adding some of those spikes, the fins, the spikes on the pylons, things like that were added to make the ship feel a little bit older than the new fancy Discovery, because it just you can see that the other one, the top one, the concept, and the Discovery could definitely be, contemporary ships built side by side.
Yeah, it's weird. The concept looks more advanced than the Shenzhou.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like quite a lot, actually. Which is certainly bizarre. And I definitely think you're right. I think as soon as he presented this, they said, "Ooh, no, those pylons are straight. We don't have straight pylons. That's Discovery's territory. Let's give them a harsh angle, a very harsh angle." Because often a lot of these designs are influenced by what they can't be. We can't do this because they did that earlier. We can't do this. Even if there's a logical design lineage, the can't is often more important than because it makes sense. And so this is potentially a product of a lot of that. But that said, but if this was the final design though, Stuart, would we have noted it's too similar to a half saucer, but with a Enterprise-y Star secondary hull slipped in there with Discovery nacelles? Like, is it two familiar elements slapped together, quote unquote slapped together?
Probably. We also would have said the same thing. It should have been post Nemesis as far as design goes, just because it does feel so similar to the Enterprise E in the Sovereign class.
Wow, yeah, actually, yeah. If you gave it E-ish nacelles and a nice big, I mean, would the E deflector look cool in the front there? It's a weird deflector.
I think so.
Yeah, that would look quite cool actually. I could kind of see that. Bring half saucer back, guys. Bring it back for post. John Eaves and guys in Picard. Update this baby and bring her into Picard season 2. We'd be like, wait, what? That's weird. Cool.
Yeah, I wonder if this was specifically designed to be a concept for the Shenzhou, or if, I know John does a lot of concepts all kind of all on one page, and he just likes to design. So I'm wondering if this is like one that he brought in, or
It was labelled as Shenzhou, but you're right, it could have been an earlier thought process.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and just I've already got the work done. It's like writing like 5 scripts when you have a YouTube channel. You already got a bunch ready to go, so pick and choose.
But it is frustrating because this is such an easy evolutionary step to Enterprise and then to post-Enterprise. With a few minor changes, you'd be like, yes, there's a logical progression of tech, which Discovery completely abandons in every single possible. There's nothing, whatever. This is such a, and even having that Aztec feel of the NX, but then these simpler colours to TOS. Like, there's so much logic put in here. Although, I think it's fair to say the interior, or the middle hull is too sleek for that time period. It's too rounded. Too overly rounded. Like, you can have the sort of smooth circle rounded of the TOS, but making so sleekly rounded feels too advanced. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm looking at what appears to be the windows on the main hull there, as well as the rim of the saucer, or half saucer, and it seems like a very large ship if those are going to be considered windows. I mean, you zoom in and it kind of almost appears like it's just detailing of some sort, but
It's windows.
We know how windows look.
It looks like a good scale to me, though. I mean, a single deck for the saucer. Except, I mean, it feels the half saucer has small windows, but they're also portholes. That feels similar in scale, but then obviously the windows are bigger because it's a bigger era of ship.
Yeah, I mean, you compare it to the Shinjo's windows, though. Like, you can see a definite scale discrepancy there between these two ships. Like, the concept would be much bigger, like more along the lines of a Sovereign class length. Not that Shenzhou isn't, because it's pretty big.
No, well, yeah,
but
I'm not sure I agree with that exactly. I think they're more comparable than that, but I know where you're coming from. But yeah, there you go. What could have been. There's many of these such Discovery unused concepts. We've ordered some for the Discovery herself. Do go back and look at those, and we have more unused ships. And we're also going to cover the side ships and concepts because they had some really odd, interesting, weird, radical, sleek, maybe, as this one, designs in the Discovery verse that did not quite make it to screen, and maybe some of the better options, maybe some of the worst options.
That's right. Well, we're going to come back and visit us to see those. Make sure you're subscribed and click the notification bell icon for that so you don't miss those. Hit the like button on this one and let us know what you think of this design down in the comment section. Always love hearing from you guys.
But if you want to see more of this and all the shows we do, including all the other sci-fis, etc., then some really essential ways. You can do the Patreon or join the YouTube channel. Both are monthly, both are truly phenomenal. Or the one-time donations, either a super chat or a PayPal. PayPal is great because it helps the show costs, it helps the getting new cameras, etc. Or the super chat during the lives. We do so many lives on many different topics, and if you put in $5, you have a great little comment. You can often create a whole discussion, and we really appreciate it. And it's just a great interactive way of doing it. So help us out if you can. The show can't keep going without it. So if you can, please do. If you can't, don't worry. Just watch, like, subscribe, spread the word because it all helps. All of it.
That's right. So until next time, guys, he's Commander Cocky.
He's got a Foley.
And we'll see you in the future.
Bye, guys.